The mystery of the missing fare has been solved, which means, of course, there's another problem. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur. This is a sort of a follow-up video to a video that I did yesterday, but not really. It's kind of interesting. So anyway, yesterday I uploaded a video where I, said that I had heard from Chell, like C. Chell, that a driver had done a long ride and was owed about $270 and did not receive it. Now, there's a couple things to mention. First of all, this was actually incorrect. It was $166. My mistake. Sorry. And here's the thing. I did suspect that she would at some point get paid. It's like, you know what? It wouldn't surprise me that Uber would hold on to earnings. I assume she would get paid. I didn't know why they were holding on to the earnings. And so I reached out to Uber. Did not use anyone's name, by the way. I don't do that. And asked if, I played out the situation and said, so is this you not giving this driver their money, or are you holding it for some reason? And they confirmed that they were holding it. And in fact, after I had talked to Chell later on, because Uber didn't know who I was talking about, Chell said that there was a situation where, because the ride went over the state border or something like that, it mandated a fare audit because the fares were different across the border. And so that's why the person, this individual, did not get their money. However, one thing Uber also pointed out to me was that you agree to do this in the terms of service, that they can actually hold on to your fare and review it if they deem necessary if you drive more than 40 miles. Now, for the record, I have looked in the terms of service, have not been able to find this anywhere. I'm not saying it's not there, just I didn't find it. I did, however, find this when I went to their help page, and it states very clearly that, large fares may be held for review. And to some credit, I remember getting a couple like $300 fares in the past, and those would always take a couple days before I was actually cleared to use the money. But apparently, one of the new things now is if it goes over 40, if the system deems it appropriate, they will hold on to your money for 48 hours, or if someone makes a claim that the fare is incorrect. And because they want to verify that, that you're actually driving the amount of time you're driving, and that you're not driving extra miles with the passenger. So that's what it is. And, on some level, I sort of understand where they're coming from, because what Uber wants to avoid, at least the way they said it, is that they don't want a driver to pick up a passenger, take them like 5 miles down the road, drop them off at their house, and then keep driving for like an hour and just collect the money on the miles. They don't want that to happen. So they want to give the customer a chance to dispute that charge and possibly refund the money back if that is the case. Now, this of course makes a little bit of sense. It does. I'm not saying it doesn't. Because if there's one thing that I have learned from this business, is that you should never underestimate people's determination to be cheap, or in some cases, greedy. There are greedy Uber drivers out there. There are channels out there that are dedicated to what they call Uber hacks. And that's strategies that they come up with on how you can milk more money out of the rider. And the thing with these hacks is that they are not hacks, they are just taking advantage of people. They are screwing them out of money that they should not have to pay. And it's not fair. That said, by having this rule and it being brought more to my attention, of course, the more I thought about it, the more I realized, oh shoot, there's another problem here, isn't there? And that extra problem, of course, is that once the passenger is aware that, rides over 40 miles can automatically be triggered for a fare review, and that at that point you can make a claim that they drove more than what the ride actually was, and you have a very good chance of getting your money back, well, they're going to take advantage of that. And so, unfortunately, I anticipate once this becomes a popular thing that you're going to see passengers who will call Ubers. They might have them go through the drive-thru or to 7-Eleven, and they get back in the car. They go the rest of the trip, and then after the trip is over, they complain to Uber, hey, I was supposed to be dropped off at this location where this person, sat for a few minutes, and they drove off and they kept charging me. That is something that they will likely say in hopes of getting their money back. Now, I don't know what how should we say this, how the audit of that trip goes. I don't know what they use to determine whether or not the passenger is, telling the truth or not. I assume, however, that what they're going to be doing is they're going to just assume that the passenger is telling the truth. That the driver probably tried to do something a little shady, and so they're going to take the money from the driver, give it back to the passenger. And for those of you who say, well, what proof do you have of that? Honestly, I have none, except for the fact that it's just what Uber does. I mean, Uber always sides with the passenger. Every single time. Heck, I even did a story recently, and Uber would not confirm or deny this, where there was a few Uber drivers who, got complaints from riders. They had dash cam footage, and Uber was not interested in seeing the dash cam footage. And I definitely suspect that Uber is getting more rider-friendly and less driver-friendly the closer they get to being a publicly traded company. Because you know how that is. Customers, number one. But back to this. So the mystery is solved. This particular driver's ride was more than 40 miles, and it actually happened to even additionally go over the state border. Therefore, they got audited, and they did get paid finally. And even from what I understand, they got a couple t-shirts for the misunderstanding. So, yay, good for them. But it highlights another problem with the platform and why long rides are becoming super toxic to the point where you really just don't even want to take them anymore. I mean, here's the thing. Long rides have always been very inconvenient, but we took them because they paid better. More miles you were driving were getting paid for. If it was surge, it was especially good. So there was a lot of things to like about long rides. And then you have, the new surge, which takes away a lot of that money you would have been making. So now you're not making that much. Now you have the price audit, where your fare can be automatically held if it goes over 40 miles. And some people really depend on that money. Like, some people are actually driving for gas money. It seems kind of weird when you really look at it. But some people are like driving, it's like, okay, they've got this much gas, they'll drive this many miles, and they'll cash out, get gas, and go home. Well, under this audit thing, there might be a discrepancy between how much gas you have to get home and how much you can actually cash out. That's again, problem. Then you have the third problem, and that is once riders realize that these trips are audited, then they might complain a little bit more than most people would. And they will, how should I put this? They will get the driver's fare. They will get to keep their money because that's what Uber does. So when you start adding it up, I am definitely thinking long trips are not a very profitable business for the Uber driver. It's become a very risky business at the very least. So there you have it. But as always, I'm going to pass the question off to you. What do you think? Do you agree that long rides are becoming more trouble than they're worth? Do you still like doing long rides? Has your fare ever been audited, and has there ever been a false complaint made that you drove longer than you were supposed to? What happened? I would love to know. So, you know the drill. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.